This is my true story. I buried my wife 18 years ago. They told me she died in a warehouse fire. I identified her body. I planned her funeral. I cried at her grave for years. Yesterday I was watching TV and saw her name flash across the screen as Miss Universe. Same name, same birth date, same birthmark on her shoulder. She didn't die, she faked it all. She left me to suffer while she became famous and rich. The woman the world is celebrating destroyed my entire life. But you won't believe what I'm going to do next. Before that, tell us where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. And please subscribe to this channel so that my stories can reach more people. I met her when I was 23 years old working at a construction site. She was 19 and working at a coffee shop near the job. I went in every morning for coffee and she always smiled at me. Always remembered how I liked it. Black with 2 sugars. After 3 months, I finally got the courage to ask her out. She said yes. I took her to a cheap diner because that's all I could afford. She said she didn't care about money. Said she liked me for who I was. I believed every word. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. I saved up for 6 months to buy her a ring. Nothing fancy, just a small diamond on a silver band. But she cried when I gave it to her, said it was perfect, said I was perfect, said she couldn't wait to spend forever with me. We got married 3 months later in a small ceremony, just our families and a few friends. I wore a suit I borrowed from my brother. She wore a white dress she found at a thrift store. She looked beautiful. I thought I was the luckiest man alive. I worked 3 jobs to take care of her. Morning shift at the construction site, afternoon shift at a warehouse loading trucks, night shift at a gas station. I barely slept, but I didn't care. I wanted to give her a good life, wanted her to have nice things. She said she wanted to go back to school, so I paid for her classes. She said she needed new clothes for interviews, so I bought them. She said she wanted to take dance lessons, so I paid for those too. Everything she wanted I gave her, even when I had nothing left for myself. We lived in a tiny apartment with broken heating and water stains on the ceiling. I promised her we would move somewhere better soon. She smiled and said she was happy anywhere as long as we were together. But I saw the way she looked at other women. Women with designer purses and expensive shoes. Women who drove nice cars and lived in big houses. I saw the hunger in her eyes, the wanting. But I thought if I just worked harder and made more money, she would be satisfied. I thought love was enough. She started going out more without me. Said she was meeting friends from her dance class. Said she was networking for job opportunities. I trusted her completely. Never questioned where she went or who she was with. I was too busy working to even think about it. I came home exhausted every night, and she was either out or already asleep. We barely talked anymore, barely touched, but I told myself it was just a phase, that once I made more money and we moved to a better place, everything would go back to normal. Then she started asking for money more often. Said she needed it for textbooks, for gas, for food when she was out. I gave her everything I had. Didn't ask questions, didn't keep track. I just wanted her to be happy. But it was never enough. She always needed more. Always had some emergency or expense that couldn't wait. I worked myself half to death trying to keep up. My body hurt all the time. I lost weight because I skipped meals to save money for her. But I didn't complain. I thought that's what husbands do. Sacrifice everything for their wives. Looking back now, I see the truth. She never loved me. She loved what I could give her. Loved having someone to pay her bills and fund her dreams while she planned her escape. Every kiss was fake. Every "I love you" was a lie. Every promise of forever was just a way to keep me working and giving until she had what she needed. I was never her husband. I was her bank account, her ticket to something better. And the moment she found a way out, she took it without looking back. I gave her 5 years of my life. 5 years of working myself into the ground. 5 years of believing we were building a future together, but she was just using me, draining me, waiting for the right moment to disappear. And when that moment came, she didn't just leave. She faked her own death and left me to pick up the pieces of a life she destroyed. It was a Tuesday night in March 18 years ago. I was working the night shift at the gas station when 2 police officers walked in. They asked if I was me. asked if I was married to her. I said yes. They looked at each other with these sad faces and told me to sit down. My heart started pounding. I knew something terrible happened. They said there was a fire at a warehouse across town. They said multiple bodies were found. They said one of them was my wife. I didn't believe them. I said no, that's impossible. She's at home sleeping. But they showed me her purse, her ID, her phone. All found at the scene. I collapsed right there on the floor of that gas station and couldn't breathe. They took me to the morgue the next day to identify the body. I didn't want to go. Didn't want to see her like that. But they said they needed a positive identification. The body was burned so badly I could barely look at it. Blackened skin, no face left, no hair, nothing that looked human anymore. But there was a ring on the left hand, a silver ring with a small diamond. The ring I gave her when I proposed. I recognized it immediately. The detective asked if that was her ring, and I nodded. Couldn't speak. Couldn't think. Just nodded and walked out and threw up in the parking lot. They said she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, said the warehouse was being used for illegal activities and someone set it on fire to destroy evidence. Said my wife and 3 other people got trapped inside and couldn't escape. They said she died from smoke inhalation before the flames reached her. Said it was quick. Said she didn't suffer. But I suffered. I suffered every single second after that. The guilt ate me alive. I kept thinking if I had been home more, if I had paid more attention. If I had been a better husband, maybe she wouldn't have been at that warehouse. Maybe she would still be alive. The funeral was small, just like our wedding. Her family came. My family came. A few friends. I stood at the front and couldn't stop crying, couldn't stop shaking. I looked at that closed casket and thought about her body inside. Thought about how I would never see her face again, never hear her voice, never hold her hand. The preacher said something about God's plan and eternal peace, but I didn't hear any of it. I just stared at that casket and felt my entire world ending. They buried her in a cemetery on the edge of town, a small plot under a tree. I paid for the headstone with money I didn't have. Put her name and the dates and the words beloved wife. I visited that grave every single week for years. Brought flowers, sat on the ground and talked to her. Told her about my day. Told her I missed her. Told her I was sorry for not being enough. I cried at that grave more times than I can count. Cried until I had nothing left inside me. But it was all a lie. Every single part of it. She wasn't dead. She wasn't in that warehouse. That burned body wasn't hers. She planted her purse and her phone and her ring at the scene. She paid someone or tricked someone into making it look like she died. She knew I would identify the ring. Knew I wouldn't look too close at the body because it was too painful. She planned the whole thing perfectly, made sure everyone believed she was gone, made sure I believed it so completely that I would never come looking for her. She let me bury an empty casket, let me cry at a fake grave for 18 years, let me carry the guilt and the grief and the pain of losing her while she was alive somewhere living her best life. She watched me suffer from wherever she was and didn't care, didn't feel bad, didn't think twice about what she did to me. I mourned a ghost. I mourned a woman who murdered herself on paper so she could be reborn as someone new, someone better, someone who didn't have a poor husband dragging her down, and I never knew, never suspected, never imagined she could be that cruel. 2 weeks after the funeral, the letters started coming. Bills I never saw before. Credit card statements with her name on them. Collection agency notices, loan documents. I opened the first one and saw a balance of $12,000. I thought it was a mistake. We didn't have credit cards. We barely had money for rent. But there it was. Her name and my address and a bill for $12,000 spent on things I never saw. Clothes and jewelry and hotel rooms and restaurants I never went to. I called the company and they said she opened the account 6 months ago. Said she listed me as a co-signer. Said I was responsible for the debt. More letters came every single day. Another credit card with $8,000 owed. A personal loan for $15,000. A car loan for a car I never saw, store credit accounts. Medical bills from doctors I didn't know she visited. Payday loans with interest rates so high I couldn't believe they were legal. Every single one had her name and my signature. Except I never signed anything. She forged my name, took my information and opened accounts and spent money like it was nothing, and then she died and left me holding all of it. The total was almost $80,000. $80,000 in debt that I didn't know existed. I was making barely enough to cover rent and food. I couldn't pay any of it. The collection calls started. 10 calls a day. 20 calls a day. People screaming at me that I owed money, that I was a deadbeat, that they would sue me and garnish my wages and ruin my credit. I tried to explain that my wife died, that I didn't know about these debts, but they didn't care. They said the debt was in my name and I had to pay. I went to a lawyer with the little money I had saved. He looked at all the paperwork and said I was screwed. Said even though she forged my signature, it would be almost impossible to prove. Said the companies would argue that I benefited from the spending, that I knew about it and allowed it. He said my only option was bankruptcy or spending the next 20 years paying it off. I couldn't file bankruptcy. I needed my credit for work, needed to be able to rent an apartment, so I chose to pay. I worked those 3 jobs for another 10 years. Every single penny went to paying off her debt. I ate 1 meal a day, rice and beans most nights. I wore the same clothes until they had holes. I never went anywhere, never did anything, just worked and paid and worked and paid. The debt felt like a chain around my neck, drowning me slowly. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think about anything else. Every month I sent payments to 5 different companies, watched the balances go down so slowly it felt like they would never end. My health got worse. I developed back problems from the construction work, got an ulcer from the stress, started having panic attacks in the middle of the night thinking about money, but I couldn't stop working, couldn't take a break. The debt was always there waiting, always demanding more. I lost friends because I never had time to see them, lost opportunities for better jobs because I was too exhausted to interview, lost years of my life to paying for things she bought while planning to abandon me. It took me 15 years to pay off everything, 15 years of my life gone. I was 43 when the last payment went through. I should have been celebrating, should have felt free. But I just felt empty, hollow, used up. I gave up everything to clean up her mess. Gave up my health and my youth and any chance at happiness, all because she decided I wasn't good enough for her. All because she wanted a different life and didn't care who she destroyed to get it. She didn't just fake her death and leave. She burned my entire future to the ground, left me buried in debt that took half my life to escape, made sure that even if I survived losing her, I would spend decades suffering. That was her final gift to me, financial ruin and a lifetime of pain. And while I was working myself to death paying off her lies, she was somewhere building a new life, getting rich, getting famous, becoming Miss Universe. She took everything from me and turned it into a crown. Yesterday was Sunday, and I had nothing to do like every other Sunday for the past 18 years. I sat in my apartment alone eating leftover pizza and flipping through channels. I don't usually watch TV much, just background noise to fill the silence. But I stopped on some beauty pageant because I was too tired to keep looking Miss Universe. Women in expensive gowns walking across a stage. I almost changed the channel, but I was too lazy to reach for the remote. So I just watched these beautiful women smile and wave and talk about world peace. They started announcing the top 5 finalists. The host said each name slowly with dramatic pauses. Miss France, Miss Philippines, Miss Colombia. Then he said the 4th name, and my heart stopped. Her name, her exact name, first and last. The same name I saw on our marriage certificate. The same name on the headstone I bought. The same name I hadn't said out loud in years because it hurt too much. I thought it was a coincidence. Had to be a coincidence. Common name. Lots of people have that name. But then the camera zoomed in on her face. It was her. Older, but definitely her. The same eyes I stared into on our wedding day. The same smile she gave me when she lied and said she loved me. The same face I saw in pictures I kept hidden in a drawer because looking at them made me want to die. She was standing on that stage in a silver dress that probably cost more than I made in a year, hair and makeup perfect, skin glowing, looking happier and more beautiful than I ever saw her when she was with me. My hands started shaking. The remote fell out of my hand onto the floor. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, just stared at the screen. The host asked her questions, asked about her background. She said she grew up poor, said she worked hard to get where she was, said she overcame tragedy and loss. Tragedy and loss. I wanted to scream. She was the tragedy, she was the loss. But she stood there acting like she was the victim, acting like she survived something hard. She survived by destroying me, by faking her death and stealing my money and leaving me with nothing. That's how she survived. They showed a video package about her life. Pictures of her as a child, videos of her modeling, clips of her doing charity work. The narrator talked about her mysterious past, said she appeared on the scene 10 years ago with no history, no family, no background. Said she reinvented herself and built an empire, reinvented herself. That's one way to say it. Another way is she committed fraud and faked her death and became someone new, so no one would find out what she did. Then the camera zoomed in close on her shoulder during the evening gown portion, and I saw it. The birthmark. 3 small freckles on her left shoulder in the shape of a triangle. I used to kiss that birthmark every night before we went to sleep. Used to trace it with my finger and tell her it looked like a constellation. There was no doubt anymore. This wasn't someone with the same name. This wasn't a look-alike. This was her. My wife. The woman I buried. The woman I mourned. The woman I loved. Standing on a stage in front of millions of people very much alive. My chest felt like it was caving in. I couldn't get air into my lungs. My vision went blurry. I thought I was having a heart attack. I grabbed the edge of the couch and tried to breathe, but nothing worked. Everything I believed for 18 years was a lie. She didn't die in a fire. She didn't get trapped in a warehouse. She planned it. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to get away from me so badly that she was willing to fake her own death. Willing to let me think she was gone forever. Willing to let me suffer and grieve and destroy myself while she lived in luxury. The host announced she made the top 3. The crowd cheered. She smiled and blew kisses. The woman who killed me was about to become Miss Universe, and I was the only person in the world who knew the truth. She made it to the final round. The host asked her the final question, something about what message she would share with young women around the world. She smiled that same fake smile I knew so well and started talking. Her voice was different. She had an accent now. European, maybe. Sophisticated, like she was born into money and privilege. But I knew the truth. I knew she grew up in a trailer park in Ohio. Knew her real voice, the one without the fake accent. The one that used to whisper lies in my ear at night. She talked about believing in yourself, about never giving up on your dreams no matter what obstacles you face, about reinventing yourself and becoming the person you were meant to be. The judges nodded. The crowd clapped. Everyone loved her answer, loved her message. But all I heard was a confession. She reinvented herself by erasing me, by erasing her past, by faking her death and walking away from everything like it never existed. That was her big inspirational message. Destroy whoever you need to destroy to get what you want. They announced the winner, Miss Universe. Her name. The crown went on her head, flowers in her arms, tears running down her face. She covered her mouth like she was shocked, like she couldn't believe it. But I could see it in her eyes. She expected this. She planned for this. This was always her goal. From the moment she met me, she wanted this life, wanted the fame and the money and the attention, and I was just in the way, just dead weight she had to get rid of. The cameras followed her as she walked down the runway. She waved to the crowd, blew kisses. The commentators talked about her incredible journey, her mystery, her elegance. They called her an inspiration, a role model, a woman who came from nothing and built everything. But she didn't come from nothing. She came from my sacrifice, my money, my broken back and my 3 jobs and my ruined life. She built her empire on top of my grave. Social media exploded. Everyone was posting about her, about how beautiful she was, how deserving, how inspiring her story was. Hashtags trending worldwide, her face everywhere. Magazine covers being planned, endorsement deals being offered. She was about to become one of the most famous women in the world, and nobody knew what she really was. Nobody knew she was a liar and a thief and a fraud. Nobody knew she faked her own death and destroyed a man who loved her. They just saw the smile and the crown and the dress. I watched interview after interview. She talked about her childhood, made up stories about growing up in Europe, about her parents dying when she was young, about being raised by her grandmother who taught her strength and grace. All lies, every single word. Her parents were alive last I knew, living in that same trailer park. And she didn't have a grandmother. She had a grandfather who drank too much, and a grandmother who left when she was 5. But the truth didn't matter. She created a whole new history for herself. A better story, one that fit the image she wanted. The interviewers asked about her love life. She smiled sadly and said she never found the right person. Said she was focused on her career. Said maybe someday she would find love. But for now she was married to her work. I almost put my fist through the TV. She was married. To me, legally married. Unless she somehow got that annulled or declared dead too. But she sat there acting like she never had a husband. Like I never existed. Like those 5 years we spent together were completely erased from history. The world fell in love with her that night. Millions of people, all worshiping a woman who was rotten inside, who used people and threw them away, who faked her death to escape responsibility. And she was going to get away with it. She was going to live this perfect, famous life while I sat in my apartment watching her on TV, knowing the truth, but having no way to prove it. She won. After 18 years, she finally won everything. And I lost everything all over again. I didn't sleep that night, just laid in bed staring at the ceiling trying to understand how this happened, trying to figure out when she decided to do it. When did she look at me and decide I wasn't worth keeping? When did she plan the fire? When did she decide that faking her death was easier than just leaving? Did she ever love me even a little bit? Or was every moment a lie? These questions ran through my head over and over until I thought I would go crazy. The truth hit me around 3 in the morning. She never loved me. Not even in the beginning. I was convenient. I had a job. I had an apartment. I was someone who would take care of her while she figured out her next move. She saw a lonely guy who would work himself to death for her, and she used my love like a weapon against me. Every time I worked an extra shift, she was planning. Every time I gave her money, she was saving it for her escape. I was never her husband. I was her victim from day one. I thought about the months before she disappeared. She was distant, cold, gone all the time. I thought she was unhappy because we were poor, because I couldn't give her the life she deserved. I blamed myself for not being good enough. But now I understood. She was setting up her new life, meeting new people, creating a new identity. The dance classes weren't dance classes. The networking events weren't networking. She was building her exit strategy, and I was too stupid to see it. She needed money to disappear. That's why she opened all those credit cards and loans in my name. She wasn't being careless. She was stealing, taking everything she could before she left. Maxing out cards and getting cash advances and buying things she could sell later. And she knew I would be stuck with the debt, knew I would spend years paying it off. She didn't care. She never cared. I was just a bank account she could drain before closing it forever. The fire was perfect. Nobody questions a death by fire. The body is too damaged to identify properly. Just match some personal items and call it done. She probably found a body. Maybe someone homeless. Maybe someone who died and wouldn't be missed. She put her ring on it. Her ID nearby. Made it look like she was there. And everyone believed it because why would someone fake their own death? Why would someone be that cruel? But she was. She was exactly that cruel. She chose fame over me, chose wealth and beauty pageants and crowns over the man who loved her. I wasn't good enough for her, wasn't rich enough, wasn't important enough. I was embarrassing. A construction worker with dirty hands and cheap clothes. She wanted designer dresses and cameras and applause. She wanted to be somebody. And being married to me meant she would always be nobody. So she erased me. Killed herself on paper so she could kill me in real life. I thought about all the times I defended her to people. When my mother said she seemed fake. When my brother said she was using me. When my friends said something felt off about her, I got angry at them. Told them they didn't know her like I did. Told them she loved me and they were just jealous. But they saw what I refused to see. They knew she was wrong. They tried to warn me and I pushed them away. I chose her over everyone, and she chose herself over me without hesitation. The worst part is she's happy. She got everything she wanted. The fame, the money, the attention, the crown. She won. She destroyed my life and used the pieces to build her palace. And she doesn't feel guilty. Doesn't lose sleep over what she did. She stands on that stage smiling and waving like she earned it, like she deserves it. But everything she has is stolen. Stolen from me, from my love, from my trust, from my destroyed life. She's Miss Universe built on top of my grave, and the whole world celebrates her while I'm still buried alive. For 18 years, I visited her grave every single week. Every Sunday morning, I drove to that cemetery and sat by her headstone. I brought flowers, usually just cheap ones from the grocery store because that's all I could afford. But I brought them anyway. Daisies because she said she liked daisies. I put them in the little vase attached to the headstone, and I talked to her. Told her about my week, about work, about how much I missed her, about how empty everything felt without her. I cried at that grave more times than I can count. Sat there in the rain and snow and heat talking to nothing, talking to a lie. Every year on our anniversary, I took the day off work. Didn't matter how much I needed the money. That day was for her. I spent the whole day at the cemetery, brought a blanket and lunch, and just sat there. I read to her, books she used to like, poetry. I played music on my phone, songs we used to dance to in our apartment. I told her I still loved her, that I would always love her, that I was sorry I didn't protect her, sorry I wasn't there, sorry I couldn't save her from that fire I carried that guilt like chains wrapped around my chest for 18 years. Guilt for something that never even happened. I never dated anyone else, never even looked at another woman. People told me I needed to move on, that she would want me to be happy, that I was still young enough to find love again. But I couldn't. The thought of being with someone else felt like betraying her, like disrespecting her memory. So I stayed alone, stayed faithful to a ghost, turned down women who showed interest, avoided relationships, spent 18 years being loyal to a woman who faked her death to get away from me. Every birthday of hers, I bought a cupcake with a candle, sat at her grave and sang happy birthday, blew out the candle for her, made a wish that she was at peace, that wherever she wasn't in pain anymore. But she wasn't dead. She was at fancy parties, walking red carpets, living in penthouses, eating expensive food and wearing designer clothes, while I sat at a fake grave with a grocery store cupcake wishing her peace. The cruelty of it makes me sick. I kept all her things, every single item she left behind, her clothes still hanging in the closet, her shoes lined up by the door, her toothbrush in the bathroom. I couldn't throw any of it away. It felt wrong, like erasing her. So I lived in a museum of our marriage, surrounded by her stuff, drowning in memories of a love that never existed. Sometimes I would hold her sweater and smell it, hoping to catch any trace of her perfume. But after a few years, it just smelled like dust and regret. Our wedding photo still sat on my nightstand. I looked at it every night before bed. Looked at her smiling face in that thrift store dress. Looked at how happy we seemed. How young and hopeful. I thought that photo was proof that we were real, that what we had mattered. But it was just proof that I was a fool, that I believed a performance. She was acting in that photo, smiling for the camera while planning her escape. And I was just the extra in her story, the forgettable character she wrote out in the worst way possible. I named my pain after her. Every bad thing that happened, I connected to losing her. Lost my job. It's because I was depressed about her. Got in a car accident. It's because I was distracted thinking about her. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat right. Couldn't find joy in anything. All because she died, except she didn't die. She just left. And I wasted 18 years of my life mourning someone who was out there living her best life, not thinking about me even once. She stole 18 years from me. Stole my youth. My chance at happiness. My ability to trust. My ability to love. I gave her 5 years when she was alive, and she took 18 more after she left. 23 years total stolen by one person. 23 years I can never get back. And she doesn't even know, doesn't care. She's too busy wearing her crown. After the shock wore off, I grabbed my phone. My hands were still shaking, but I had to document this. Had to prove I wasn't losing my mind. I went online and found the Miss Universe broadcast, rewatched it, paused it on her face, took screenshots, dozens of them, every angle of her face, close-ups of her eyes, her smile, her shoulder with that birthmark. I saved every single one. Then I went to my closet and pulled out the box. The box I kept hidden on the top shelf for 18 years. Inside were our wedding photos, pictures from our honeymoon, random snapshots from our life together. I hadn't looked at these in years. It hurt too much. But now I needed them. I needed proof. I spread them out on my bed next to my phone with the screenshots. Started comparing. The birthmark was identical. 3 freckles in a perfect triangle on her left shoulder. In our wedding photos, you could see it when her dress slipped down. In the Miss Universe broadcast, it was right there during the evening gown segment. Same placement, same size, same shape. It was her, no question. No doubt, that birthmark was like a fingerprint. Unique, undeniable. I took pictures of the comparison. Wedding photo next to screenshot. The evidence was right there. Her eyes were the same too. Same shape, same color. Light brown with little gold flecks. I used to stare into those eyes and think I saw forever. Now I looked at the screenshots and saw the same eyes. Older, more makeup, but the same. The way her left eye was slightly smaller than her right, the way her eyebrows arched. Everything matched. I zoomed in on both photos. Put them side by side. It was impossible to deny. Her smile gave her away too. She had this way of smiling where the left corner of her mouth went up slightly higher than the right. Made her look a little crooked, a little imperfect. I always thought it was cute. In the Miss Universe broadcast, she smiled the exact same way. Tried to hide it. Tried to smile perfect for the cameras, but that crooked smile came through. I saw it. Captured it in a screenshot. Compared it to our wedding photo where she had that same smile identical. Even her hands matched. She had long fingers. Piano fingers, she used to call them, even though she never played piano. And on her right hand she had a small scar between her thumb and index finger. Got it when she was a kid. Cut herself on a fence. She told me that story on our second date. In the Miss Universe broadcast, when they showed her waving with both hands, I saw it. That same scar. Faded, but still there. I paused it. Zoomed in. Took a screenshot. Then I found an old photo of her hands from our wedding. The scar was there too. Same spot, same size. I created a whole folder on my phone, called it Evidence, put every screenshot in there, every comparison, every photo. I had dozens of them, side-by-side images proving beyond any doubt that Miss Universe was my dead wife. The woman the world was celebrating was the woman who destroyed me, and I had proof. Actual proof. Not just my word, not just my memory. Hard evidence that could be verified. I thought about what to do with it, who to tell, who would believe me. The media would think I was crazy. Some old man claiming Miss Universe faked her death 20 years ago. They would laugh at me, call me delusional. But I had proof. I had these photos. I had our marriage certificate. I had the death certificate. I had everything. The question was, did I want to use it? Did I want to expose her? Destroy her the way she destroyed me? Part of me wanted to send it to every news outlet, every social media platform, blast her lies across the internet, show the world who she really was, a fraud, a fake, a woman who committed identity fraud and insurance fraud and probably a dozen other crimes. Watch her crown get taken away. Watch her perfect life crumble. Watch her feel even a fraction of the pain she caused me. But another part of me was scared. Scared she was too powerful now, too famous, too protected. Scared that nobody would believe me anyway. I couldn't stop watching videos of her online, interviews, red carpet appearances, behind-the-scenes footage. Every single one made me more angry. She talked about her struggles, about being alone in the world, about building herself from nothing. She said she had no family, said everyone she loved was gone, said she learned to rely only on herself. The interviewers felt sorry for her, called her brave, called her strong. But she was talking about me. I was the everyone she loved who was gone. Except I wasn't gone. I was right here, and she was the one who left. In one interview, she talked about love. The host asked if she believed in soulmates. She laughed and said no. Said she used to believe in fairy tales, but life taught her better. Said real love is rare, and most people settle for something comfortable, something safe. My blood boiled watching that. I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't safe. I was her husband. I loved her with everything I had, but to her, I was just settling, just something she had to escape from. She talked about me like I was a prison, like loving me was torture. Another video showed her at a charity event. She was giving a speech about second chances, about how everyone deserves the opportunity to start over, to leave their past behind and become who they were meant to be. The crowd gave her a standing ovation. But all I heard was her justifying what she did to me. She didn't deserve a second chance. She deserved prison. She deserved to be exposed. She got her second chance by destroying my first chance, by taking everything from me and leaving me with nothing but debt and grief. I found her social media accounts, millions of followers. Every post got hundreds of thousands of likes, comments calling her beautiful, calling her inspiring, calling her perfect. She posted pictures from photo shoots, from beaches, from private jets, living a life I couldn't even imagine. A life she built with my money, with my sacrifice, with my broken back and destroyed dreams. Every designer dress she wore, every expensive vacation she took, every luxury car she posed next to, all of it was bought with what she stole from me. She posted about gratitude, about being thankful for her journey, about appreciating every moment. I wanted to comment, wanted to tell everyone the truth, but my hands just hovered over the keyboard. What would I even say? That I'm her dead husband? That she faked her death and stole my life? Nobody would believe me. They would think I was some crazy stalker, some obsessed fan making up stories. She had millions of people who loved her. I had nothing. No proof anyone would accept, no platform to speak from, just rage and pain and screenshots nobody would take seriously. The worst was seeing her happy. Genuinely happy. In every photo, every video. She glowed, she laughed, she smiled like she didn't have a care in the world. And why would she? She got away with it. She committed fraud and theft and destroyed a person and walked away clean. Started over with no consequences. Built an empire while I was still paying off her debts. She won everything, and I lost everything. The unfairness of it crushed me. I thought about confronting her, finding out where she lived, showing up with my evidence, making her look me in the eye and admit what she did. But what would that accomplish? She would deny it. Call security. Have me arrested. Claim I was harassing her. She had lawyers now. Money power. I had nothing. I was nobody. A ghost of the man she killed 18 years ago. She would destroy me again without even trying. Every time I saw her face, I felt the knife twist deeper in my chest. This woman took my whole life and turned it into fuel for her success. She didn't just leave me. She erased me. Made sure I would never recover. Made sure I would spend the rest of my life in pain while she lived in paradise. That was her plan all along. Not just to escape, but to make sure I could never follow. Never find her. Never heal. She wanted me broken forever, and it worked. I am broken. 18 years later, and I'm still broken. Still stuck in that moment when the police told me she was dead. Except now I know she was laughing somewhere while I cried, and that makes it so much worse. I still live in the same apartment we shared. The same place we brought groceries to. The same place we slept in the same bed. The same place I kissed her goodbye the morning before she disappeared forever. I never moved. Never upgraded. Never tried to start fresh somewhere else. This apartment is all I have left of the life I thought we had. Even though it's filled with lies and broken memories, I can't leave. Leaving would mean accepting she's really gone. And now I know she's not gone. She's just gone from me. I sleep on the right side of the bed. The same side I always slept on. The left side stays empty. Her side. For 18 years I kept it empty out of respect, out of love. I couldn't bring myself to spread out. Couldn't bring myself to take over the whole bed like she never existed. Even now, after finding out the truth, I still sleep on my side. Still leave space for a ghost. Old habits die harder than fake wives, I guess. My life never moved forward. Everyone else around me grew up, got married, had kids, bought houses, moved to better jobs, better cities, better lives. But I stayed frozen, stuck at age 28 when she died. I'm 46 now, but I feel ancient. Feel like I've been dead for 18 years too. Just a body going through motions, working, eating, sleeping, existing, but not living. She took my future when she left. Took any chance I had at happiness or family or meaning. I've been a ghost in my own life ever since. I see her face everywhere now. On magazines at the grocery store, on billboards, on commercials. She's selling makeup, selling perfume, selling watches. Her face is worth millions now. Companies pay her just to smile and hold their products. And every time I see her, I feel sick, feel angry, feel that knife twist again. The whole world sees a beautiful, successful woman. I see the person who killed me and got rewarded for it. My friends stopped calling years ago. They got tired of my grief, tired of me talking about her, tired of inviting me places and having me say no. They moved on with their lives and left me behind. I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to be around me either. I'm miserable. I'm stuck. I'm that sad old man who can't let go of his dead wife, except she's not dead. She's Miss Universe. And I'm still here rotting in an apartment that smells like regret. I thought about going public with what I know. Thought about calling news stations, hiring a lawyer, suing her, exposing her, making her pay for what she did. But what's the point? She has teams of lawyers. She has money. She has power. I have screenshots and old wedding photos and a marriage certificate from 2 decades ago. Who wins that fight? Not me. Never me. I already lost. Lost 18 years ago. This is just me finally realizing how badly I lost. She's Miss Universe now. Adored by millions. Untouchable. Living in a world so far above mine we might as well be different species. And I'm the fool who loved her. The fool who worked 3 jobs for her. The fool who paid her debts. The fool who mourned her. The fool who still sleeps on one side of the bed, leaving room for a woman who faked her death to get away from me. That's who I am. That's all I'll ever be. The man she left behind. The man she erased. The man who doesn't even exist in her story anymore. I wonder if she ever thinks about me. If she ever feels guilty. If she ever has nightmares about what she did. Probably not. People like her don't feel guilt. They just move forward. They just take what they want and leave the damage behind. I'm the damage. I'm the wreckage of her old life she stepped over to get to her crown, and she never looked back. Never wondered if I was okay. Never cared that she destroyed me. I was just a chapter she ripped out of her book and burned. I buried my wife 18 years ago. Yesterday I watched her accept a crown on live television wearing a smile I used to think was meant for me. She didn't die in that fire. She just burned me alive and walked away, and I'm still burning.